Okay. So flip back to where we were. So we're on the next page now. And you need the little strip that has h of x and then it has all those points. Looks like this. And then you can go ahead and cut out those 3 little word problems and spread out all 4 of these strips on this last page. This will be all we're doing. So it's the h of x and it has points. And then cooking time, which is the one we did last time, but we added a little bit to it. Maria and Charlie. Just spread them out on the page. I just kind of skipped a few lines between each one. We're not going to use that. No, we're not using it all. Okay, so that other little example, y'all can just put that with your recycle trash. We're not going to use it. The only thing I wanted you to save are those 2 graphs for next time. No. Okay. So get the h of x glued down at the top. They can use different letters. Like you saw a while ago, it was f of x, and f is usually the most common because it's the function of x. But say I have 2 different rules. I have one rule for the Coke machine and a totally different rule for the snack machine. Okay? Then I could have f of x for the food machine and c of x for the Coke machine if I wanted, or whatever. So that way you can tell which ones are which. So they'll name them different things. Where are you headed?
Which way did I do this one?
Yes, where are you going?
This one. Oh, I'm going away.
Okay, so if it has this right here, where it says h of x or f of x or g of x, any of that, if it has function notation, that tells you automatically you know it's a function. It has to be a function. They're not allowed to put function notation if it's not a function. Okay? So it's kind of like calling somebody Mrs. It's not married. Okay, you're not allowed. So if they have that, you don't even have to worry about checking the x numbers or doing the vertical line test. You know it's a function already. This one doesn't have a function rule though. This one looks like the ones we did last time, that just have a whole bunch of points, right? So they will ask you questions on these like write the domain. So if I was going to write the domain on this one, what would the domain be? What numbers does the domain go with?
Oh.
Dixie or Dory?
Dory.
Dixie. Dixie is domain. Okay, so Dixie is domain, so let's do x's. So it's going to be -2, the first one. +2 is the second one. 4, 6, and 8. There's my domain.
It's just the first one of everyone.
It's just the x number of every point, so the first one on every point. Still not us. Okay, range. So range is all the other ones. The second one on every point. So you've got 6, 8, 10, 12, and 14. This one's pretty simple because they all counted by 2s on the range. So it's just the second number on every one of those points. And then sometimes they like to throw you a little curveball a little bit and they'll ask you, well, what is h of 2? What do you think it might be asking? What did the 2 replace? What was there before I put a 2 there?
X.
An X. So the 2 replaced the X.
So we have to set the domain numbers on it?
Okay, like what do you mean?
Like the -2 and 2 and those numbers?
Okay, we're dealing with domain numbers, so you're kind of on the right track. Not exactly, but close. Anybody else have an idea? There's no rule, so I don't have to do any like math figuring or anything on this. What it's asking me is if my input number is 2, what output number goes with that? 2 goes with, not 6.
Oh, 8.
8. Positive 2 goes with
8.
positive 8. So if my input number is a 2, my output number that goes with that is 8. Alright, so it looks kind of weird, it's worded kind of weird, but it's really simple. So if I said, what is h of 8? What would you say?
2. Oh.
H of 8.
14.
14, because if my input number is 8, which is the first one, my output number would have to be 14. Did y'all see that? I'm replacing the input number. I'm replacing the x with a number. And they want to know what is the output with that. So if you ever see that, that just means take that number and plug it in where the x's are. And in this case, there's no rule. You're just plugging in for these x's to figure out what the y would be. Okay, last little bit are these 3-word problems. And the first 2 we did the other day on independent and dependent. And today we're going to switch gears and do it with domain and range. So the first one says, the cooking time for an unstuffed turkey is about 20 minutes per pound of turkey. The store sells turkeys that are between 10 and 15 pounds. What would be a reasonable domain and range for this situation? Okay, the other day we figured out cooking time and pounds were our 2 variables. And we decided that cooking time was dependent, pounds was independent. Y'all remember that?
Yeah.
Okay, so we already did that. We did that last time. It should be in your notes. What we need to know now, though, is a reasonable domain and range. Which one of those goes with domain? Independent or dependent? It goes with independent. So I need pounds to go with domain. And cooking time to go with range. So what would be a reasonable set of pounds for these turkeys? They told us in the word problem what it is. 10 to
15.
So my reasonable domain on this one is 10 to 15 pounds. And just so you can see how it's written sometimes, X is in the middle, and they have the little less than or equal to, so just write it. You don't have to worry about it right now. I just want you to kind of write it so you can see it. That just means X is in between the 10 and the 15. That's all that means. The arrows always point to the left on these. So if I have a 10 to 15 pound turkey, and I cook it 20 minutes per pound, what's a reasonable cooking time? 200 minutes to about 300 minutes. I'll do the math on that one for you. 200 to 300 minutes, and we're just going to leave it in minutes. We're not going to switch it to hours and minutes right now. Which means over here, this would be 200. Y is in the middle this time because it's the range. I just wanted you to see that that's how it's written sometimes. So if you ever see that, that just means it's between those 2 numbers. That's all that's saying. So if I said I cooked a turkey for 20 minutes, would that be reasonable? No, that's like a dove. Okay, it's not a turkey. Not going to work. You're going to kill somebody. They're going to get like poisoning from the turkey being raw. Okay, so that's not reasonable. If I say I cook it for 400 minutes, I mean that could happen, but that's not a reasonable range. right? Your turkey would be completely charred, maybe not even there. I don't know. Okay, so Maria on the next one. Maria earns $7 per hour for babysitting after school and on Saturday. She works no more than 16 hours a week. What would be a reasonable domain and range for this situation? We decided the other day that her money depended on her hours. Her money depended on her hours. So domain goes with which one?
With the,
The hours. Range goes with money, how much she makes. We're gonna assume that Maria at least babysits 1 hour a week. I'm just gonna throw that out there, we're gonna make that assumption. So she babysits at least 1 hour a week. So what is a reasonable domain number of hours that she's babysitting a week? 1 to 16. So if I was writing it with these weird little arrows, it would look like this. We'll talk about those at a later date, but not today. So if that's the case, what's reasonable for her paycheck? What would the lowest one be? $7, right? Just a little hint, babysitting for 1 hour usually isn't worth it. Okay, and the other one's gonna be up to 112. I'll do the math for you on that. $7 times her 16 hours. So that's just a reasonable domain, a reasonable range. One more. Charlie downloads songs for 75 cents each. He has between $3 and $6 to spend on songs. What would be a reasonable domain and range for this situation? Okay, first of all, we didn't do this on the other day, so we don't know already what the variables are. The songs he downloads, how many songs he downloads is one variable. How much money he spends is another variable. Which one is dependent? Which one is independent? Blank depends on blank.
Downloads depends on money.
How much he spends depends on how many he downloads, right? So money is dependent. Songs downloaded is independent. So this is gonna be like the number downloaded. Loaded. And this is gonna be how much he spends. This one's a little backwards though. They didn't give me the domain this time, they gave me the range this time. Do you see that? They gave me money instead of how many songs. So what's his range? What's he spending? Between 3 and 6, right? $3 to $6. How would I figure out what a reasonable domain that is? How would I figure out how many songs he can possibly download? Just basic math, what would I do? I have $3. They cost 75 cents each. What? Stop trick question. Y'all know how to do this. Divide, thank you. Divide. We're just going to do 3 divided by 75 cents, right? That's going to be 4 songs, all the way up to 8 songs. So you're just dividing to see. How many can he download? Not too many. Charlie wants 15 songs, he's out of luck. Sorry, Charlie. He's gonna have to go mow a lawn or something to pay for his songs that he wants to download. Okay, that's all the notes today. But keep your scissors and glue because we have an activity.